So the reason this is going to work is because I don't know if you've ever, raked up a bunch of grass after mowing your lawn, but if you leave that pile of grass on the lawn, it kills your lawn, right? So the same thing happens. Hey, it's Greg here with MaritimeGardening.com, and I find myself in a position that I'm often in towards the end of June, sort of the end of planting season in a sense, at least around here anyway, that I've got some leftover seed potatoes. This is all I got left. I am in the unique situation where I don't live in the suburbs. I sort of live in a rural area. My garden backs onto a wild forested area, and to have any sort of garden at all, I have to have it fenced in. So that's the fence. And all the things that deer and rabbits and porcupines and raccoons and all those things like to eat are inside the fence. But the great thing about leftover potatoes, potatoes in general, I found anyway, is that they, at least in my experience, seem to be deer, rabbit, and porcupine proof. So I can plant them anywhere. And the great thing about potatoes is that if you use a Ruth Stout method, you can just plant them right on the ground, cover them with some sort of mulch, walk away, and come back a couple months later, 2-3 months later, depending on the variety of potato, and you've got potatoes. So, if you're in the situation like me, where you've got some leftover seed potato, don't know what to do with them, and your garden's full, and you got a patch of grass somewhere that is really not doing any good. I mean, what does grass do other than use up your gasoline? You can plant potatoes there. Or if you're a person that has been procrastinating on whether to get a garden in this year, what should I do, what design, just dithering, right? Dithering is the worst pastime, the least productive pastime there is. Even in a short growing season like mine, and we have I'm in zone 6A, but it's a short growing season. We have frost in May, and we have frost in September. It's a short growing season. So if you've been putting it off and you really out of options, you don't know what to do, go to the store, get some seed potatoes, throw them on the ground, put some mulch on top of them, and in August, September, you're going to have at least one thing you got out of a garden this year. And the real beauty of it is that after you've spent a season growing potatoes, you're going to grow right on the grass here. The following year, all that stuff's just turned into beautiful, dark, loose soil. So it's the end of June right now. I'll do a follow-up when I harvest these to show you at 2020. So I'll do a harvest or follow-up video when I harvest these to just show you how well it's worked. This is just the easiest way to get a garden going. So let's get started here. So I've laid a log down here just so that I know where the potatoes went, right? I've got it about 3 feet from the fence because that's about as far as I can comfortably reach, right? I'm just going to I've got a lot of these and I got to use them up. I'm going to put, these are a bit closely, I'm planning these a bit close together, but, I got to use these up anyway, so I'm putting them about 9-inch, I'm making about a 9-inch square with my potatoes, okay? You can use 1 foot, there's different ways to do this, and these are just all my leftover seed potato that aren't particularly the best ones I had. They're just there. So the reason this is going to work is because I don't know if you've ever, raked up a bunch of grass after mowing your lawn, but if you leave that pile of grass on the lawn, it kills your lawn, right? So the same thing happens here. We're going to pile all this grass that I got from mowing this area on top of these potatoes. It's going to kill a lot of the grass and a lot of the weeds that are growing here right now. And but the potatoes, I don't know what it is about potatoes, but they'll be able to find their way through it. And they'll grow really well because they've got all this nitrogen and stuff like that. When this is breaking down, there's going to be a huge amount of nitrogen available in the soil as all this material breaks down. Once they get to a certain size, their leafy foliage will shade out the area and really prevent anything else from growing. And it's just such a simple way to either claim a gardening space or to just grow something when you got no garden left and you got some, you know, something like a potato. Another thing that works well for this sort of thing, this super lazy kind of garden, is what's it called? Jerusalem artichokes. You can do that, right? So that's about all the space we got. And that's all the potatoes we got. Great. All right, so now we just got to put the mulch on. Nothing to that. I probably don't have, you know, with grass clippings, you probably want to go about a foot high. I got to mow my lawn, so I'll...
Okay, everyone, let's just calm down and breathe for a moment. I said grass clippings, but I meant, you know, the kind of stuff I'm working with in this meadow. It's kind of like hay. It's green hay, I guess, because it's 2 feet high, a wide range of weeds with, you know, thick, sort of heavy stems and that sort of. There's grass in there as well, but it's more like straw. So it's like green straw or green hay. That's kind of what I'm laying on here. With grass clippings, I wouldn't want to go much higher than 6 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, because it's just so dense and such a mat, and it can clot up and that sort of thing. And I'm not 100% confident that potatoes could get through a foot high of grass clippings. I don't think anything could get through that. So it's really about the density of the material you're using. The more loose it is, the higher you can put it. Something like leaves, I've done that, you know, 6, 7 inches high. Hay, straw, foot high. Grass clippings, you know, 4, 5, 6 inches at the most. Hope that helps.
I mow my lawn, so I'll add more to this. I don't know if I have enough here. You want to have everything really well covered. You don't want the potatoes to be, if there isn't enough mulch, the potatoes will be exposed to the sunlight and they'll turn green, and they're a little bit toxic when that's the case. So you don't want that unless you're like, you know, feeling awful and having stomach aches and stuff. So you see how easy this is? You know, how contrary this activity I'm doing right now is to your concept of gardening, the toil, right? And I mean, we'll see, but I've done this enough times, I can pretty much guarantee you that in September, I'm gonna guess it's September, maybe October, when I harvest these, all that soil that was there will be this beautiful dark stuff. Such that I could plant some other thing here next year if I wanted, right? Now, how much meadow did I have to clear to get, oh, what's the size of this? This is about 12 feet by 3 feet. And to, with the plants in this meadow about 2 feet high, sort of higher than knee high for me, I probably had to clear maybe 20, 30 times the area to get this much mulch, right? And yeah, this stuff is absolutely full of weed seeds. And I don't care. For potatoes, it doesn't matter at all. The potatoes will grow so quickly, so aggressively, you know, put out such heavy foliage that they'll outcompete the weed seeds that are in this mulch. At least this year. Sure, if I just left this, let's say next year I didn't grow anything here, just left it to its own, you know, let nature take its course in this space, then yes, this would just go right back to being a pile of weeds. But just about any garden space is like that if you leave it. I mean, there's weed seeds in the air, you know, birds poop onto your garden. Weed seeds are, weeds, Thomas Dickens says the poor will always be with us, and I don't know about that, but I just found a couple extra potatoes here that got dropped. But for sure, weed seeds will always be with us. That's just about guaranteed. See how little work I had to do with my rake here? That's because I used the leaf bag on my mower to gather all this mulch. Your lawnmower is just the best mulching tool you're ever going to own. And it turns mowing your lawn into a productive activity rather than kind of a pointless exercise. All right, so it's all planted and I'm a sweaty mess. And that's the way gardening is. So yeah, Ruth Stout method. This is a kind of a pure Ruth Stout garden in the sense we started with just weedy, grassy land. We took a bunch of foliage from the meadow. We spaced out our potatoes, covered them with, I'd say I got about 6 inches of dense mulch on there. If I'm able over the next week, because it's going to take at least 2 weeks for these to start poking up through that, I'll add a little bit more to this. I find grass clippings is a really good one because it makes such a fine mat and it really keeps the sunlight out and keeps the moisture in. If it was going to rain over the next few days, I would water this, but it doesn't look like it's going to. It's been unbelievably dry here recently. So I'm going to hit this with the hose. I'm going to give this a good watering, but that's once, right, today. But that's the only watering I'm going to do on this bed all season long. This is just going to be left out here to the wilderness on its own for the remainder of the season. I'm not going to do anything out here. And in September, October, we'll see what the results are. But for spending almost no time, that's just the simplest, easiest way to get a garden in. And yeah, there's a limit. You're limited in what you can grow in year one. Just kinds of tubers and things like that. But the following year, you've got basically readily cultivated, ready to go, rich, dark soil. I'll show you in September, October. But anyway, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.